it seems to me that one of the reasons that we're voting less on economic lines is that people concluded, everybody in a way concluded, that it didn't make any difference. That is to say, the ideology of the people, economic policy ideology of the two main parties in the two-party systems and most parties in multi-party systems were essentially the same. And if that ideology, so it didn't make any difference sort of economically. So that made it inevitably less politically salient. Whether that will continue to be the case, I think is a very good question. And it's pretty clear that the Democrats now, under Biden, are trying to make it salient again. That's whether that will turn out to be right, I don't know. But if economics there isn't an economic outcome that will make a difference, then there's no reason to vote on, particularly on economic lines, because there's not a relevant choice. And that is reinforced by the point you made, which is that of a dominant element in your left party is prosperous progressives in a cultural sense. They're not going to want an economic revolution. They don't want to pay more tax. They're not as wealthy necessarily as the people who dominate the right-wing party with money, but they're prosperous people, and they feel that they don't need a huge amount of state assistance. So the Labour Party and Social Democratic parties will also become economically, quote unquote, conservative, because that reflects the interests of these people. And that will further confirm necessarily the view of the working class that there's no particular reason for voting for, as it were, Blairite Labour as against Cameronian Conservative. Take that an example, because essentially they have exactly the same ideology. And by and large, though I don't think it's so true in America, that has been true. So if that's the case, why not go for cultural things? And here, what I following Piketty call the Brahmins who rule the left are really unpleasant for many working class non-university graduate people, because they come over as despising their values and their traditions. So if that's the case, and their sense of nationalism and patriotism, if that's the case, well, why not go for the right? Because at least he respects us. Why should I vote for a left-wing party? All of his principal figures obviously not only are not interested in doing anything for me, but they also despise me. So I think there is a fairly natural tendency in this situation, if those are the choices you're facing because of who runs the parties now, who are the new powers that be, you will go for the right-wing populist. And the key thing about the right-wing populist is he can present himself as outside it all. He represents something completely new, who understands the urge of people for a restored sense of nationhood, a restored sense of their values socially and culturally, and a sense that they will defend them from all these immigrants who are flooding across the borders. That's not new. But the right has been very, very successful, and the new coalitions you describe make it very difficult for the left to respond effectively.